Lewis Hamilton caused a bit of a stir on social media when he declared that his dog Roscoe was now a vegan. And actually, it wasn't the first time he had said that he had gone vegan with his dog. So in this video, we are going to take a look at what he said, how people interpreted it, and then we are going to explore whether you should go vegan with your dog or not. And you absolutely do not want to miss that. Lewis Hamilton was photographed on the plane with a plate of fruit including strawberries, pineapple and kiwis. Lewis Hamilton actually took to Instagram 2 years ago and explained that Roscoe suffered from severe allergies. He was itching all the time, and this was due to having normal dog food, which included meat. He also had skin allergies, and he decided to transition him onto a vegan diet. And he claims that this has changed his life. He now doesn't have any breathing issues, his throat is no longer restricted, and he doesn't overheat like he did before, and he loves to run. And he went on to say that he is like a puppy again. So as many of you know, Lewis Hamilton is also a vegan, and he seems to promote veganism for all, including his dog. But should you actually take this seriously, and should you even consider veganism for your dog? Well, let's break it down into different parts, shall we? Because the one thing that probably nobody really talks about is that dogs are actually pretty resilient, and they can actually survive, they can actually live on a multitude of different foods, but veganism is a different one. The first thing we are going to look at is your dog and any dog's mouth, and whenever you look at any dog's mouth, what you see is traits of carnivores. What you see here are incisors, they are canines, and they are designed to grab onto prey and to not let it go. And these are a very, very clear indication that your dog, and any dog for that matter, whether that's a little Chihuahua or a big Belgian Malinois, they are actually more meat eaters than anything else, because they have these incisors that are meant to rip flesh apart. And then they have these carnassial teeth, these back teeth on the back of the mouth, and these are really, really important because they are a bit like seesaws, and they are designed to crush meat and bone. So we have two very clear indications in the mouth of what their dentistry is meant to do. They are meant to grab onto flesh, to rip it apart, and then to crush meat and bone with their molars, with their carnassial teeth. And this is something really, really interesting. The other really interesting thing whenever you look at a dog's mouth is that they cannot move it sideways like me and you. When me and you eat rice or bread or whatever we eat, we can masticate it, we can start breaking it down in the mouth. Your dog and my dog cannot do that. They only open and down their jaws. They don't have any sideways movement, which is another indication that they are more meat eaters than anything else. Furthermore, whenever me and you eat any starches, whenever me and you eat pasta or rice or bread or meat or whatever, we can start breaking them down in the mouth because we have the enzymes to do it. Whereas dogs do not have this enzyme in the mouth. The enzyme is called amylase, and they do not have it, which is yet another very clear indication that your dog is more a meat eater than anything else. The second point I would like to draw Lewis Hamilton's attention to is the fact that his dog's stomach, his dog's tract, is very, very short, akin of carnivores. With regards to their stomach, they can actually distend their stomach, and they can eat in one sitting up to about 10% of their body weight in one sitting, which is yet another trait of carnivores. So we have all the clear indications here that our dogs are more meat eaters than anything else. So why does Lewis Hamilton claim that his dog is thriving on a vegan diet? Well, he does mention allergies, and allergies are something that so many of us battle with every single day, and there tend to be three very different sources of allergies. First one is food, there is something that's aggravating or causing the allergy in the dog. The second one is breed specific, which Roscoe seems to be falling into this category. And the third one is environmental, or a combination of the three. What he does say is that he used to feed his dog commercial dog food. So if you go to a big box retailer where there's pet food there that's widely available, it is very, very likely that the actual components of the food, the ingredients of the food, are really bad. It's a bit like feeding your dog McDonald's. So if you look on the back of the bag of food and you see anything like cornstarch or wheat gluten or sugar or any sugar derivatives, obviously that food is not going to be very good for your dog. That is going to be akin of having fast food every single day for your dog. And those tend to be the foods that trigger allergies the most. So by removing that particular food that is causing inflammation to Lewis Hamilton's dog, that might have done the trick. That doesn't mean the dog is thriving though. So if you think about it, some of the most common allergies whenever it comes to nutrition tend to be chicken or beef, and they are really widely available and they are used everywhere. But if you think a bit outside the box and you give the dog a rare meat, a novel protein, things like kangaroo, sardines, quail, reindeer, things like that, your dog is going to be extremely unlikely to be reactive to those proteins, and your dog is going to be a lot better off than on a vegan diet. Also remember that dogs aren't optimized to break down starches. Whilst they can digest some starches, it's a really bad idea to feed your dog a lot of starches, because they do not secrete the right enzymes in the pancreas and kidneys to be able to cope with high amounts of carbohydrates. Another very interesting point whenever it comes to dogs is that dogs can actually make their own blood sugar from just eating protein and fat, and that is a process called gluconeogenesis, and that means that they have no requirement whatsoever for carbohydrates. So whenever you see manufacturers saying that rice is a source of carbohydrate, or that wheat gluten or sugar is a source of carbohydrate, you have to remember that your dog and my dog can make their own energy from just protein and fat. It's a bit like ketosis really. So they do not need that many starches, and at the end of the day, veganism for dogs can be a really bad idea, because your dog isn't optimized to breaking down huge amounts of vegetables. The vegetables would have to be pureed for them to be able to break them down. If you look at some of the pictures here that Lewis is posting on social media, you will see Roscoe eating raw vegetables. And raw vegetables, you can do this trick at home. If you feed a little carrot to your dog is not going to fully digest that carrot. It's not going to digest that carrot at all. So you're going to see coming out the other end pretty much intact and undigested, because again, they do not have the enzymes to do it. So the problem sometimes with vegan pet food is that their owners are vegan and they want to portray their veganism onto their dogs or cats, and they think from a quite skewed perspective about the health of their dog or cat, and they do not consider their anatomy or what they actually need. What they consider is the planet, the fact that they are vegan themselves, and sometimes these people, all they want to do is portray how perceivably good they are. I mean, some of the pictures he shares here of his dog eating full-on cake, it's really not the best idea. If your dog is eating something ultra processed all day every day, whether that's vegan or kibble or whatever, that cannot be good in the long term. At the end of the day, we should treat dogs as dogs and not as anything else.